Teacher talking sports, what it does, what it do, how we live in the NFL preseason is almost over. We are just 12 days from week one NFL regular season action beginning. Thursday night football, Lions at Chiefs. One thing I liked talking about a lot last year was survivor pools and who are the best teams to take. If you're unaware of what a survivor pool is, I'll go over it real quick. So basically, each week, all you have to do is pick one team to win. Sounds simple, right? Well, the problem is, once you take that team, you cannot take them again the rest of the season. So the NFL is 18 weeks, meaning if you were able to get through the whole season, you're going to take more than half the teams in the league. It's definitely, different strategies you can use. Do you take the best teams early? Or like the Chiefs, Eagles, 49ers, or do you wait to take them, get cute with some lesser teams who are playing against some of the worst teams in the league that you consider, but then you risk the chance of having one of those teams lose, and it doesn't matter if you still have the Chiefs available if you've been eliminated. Well, we're going to take a look at the week one schedule. I'll go over the biggest favorites at the end, and there really isn't a lot of big spreads. Of course, week one is not easy to choose because we don't have any evidence of the 2023 season yet. So let's take a look at the schedule. As I mentioned, Thursday night football, we got the Lions against the defending Super Bowl champion, Kansas City Chiefs. The Lions seem to be the prohibitive favorite to win the NFC North. Kind of a crapshoot. People are still picking the Vikings. Meanwhile, the Chiefs, will Chris Jones be playing in that week one game? We do not yet know. Let's look at the Sunday schedule then. Carolina at Atlanta, two quarterbacks with very little NFL experience. Desmond Ritter, of course, started the last few games of last season. And number one overall pick, Bryce Young, will be making his regular season debut. So that's a tough game to pick. Cincinnati at Cleveland. I'm actually high on Cleveland this season. I'm not sure if I'm going to go as far as to say they're going to make the playoffs, but I think they're going to surprise people. I could see maybe like a 9-8, possibly 10-7 record. So at Cleveland, not a sure win for Cincinnati in my eyes. Jacksonville at Indianapolis. Anthony Richardson's regular season debut. Jacksonville seems like they should win, but who knows? Maybe Anthony Richardson just explodes in his debut, rushes for 140 yards and two touchdowns. Who knows? Tampa Bay at Minnesota. Minnesota, the team that many expect to decline from last season when they went 13-4, despite being outscored on the season. Although Tampa Bay definitely expected to decline with the retirement of Tom Brady. Baker Mayfield will be making his Buccaneers debut. Tennessee at New Orleans. The NFC South expected to be the worst division. A lot of people believe that, but the Saints are the favorites. Tennessee, while it looks like they don't have as much talent, they did go out and sign DeAndre Hopkins, and I could just never count out a Mike Vrabel head coach team. San Francisco at Pittsburgh. Of course, we know Brock Purdy will be the starting quarterback. So two second-year players starting at quarterback, him and Kenny Pickett. Pickett performed a little bit better as the season went along last year. Arizona at Washington. Yes, Arizona widely expected to maybe be the worst team in the NFL. Sam Howell's looked good in preseason, but there's been other guys that have looked good in preseason. Let's see if he could duplicate that when it comes to the games that are more meaningful. Houston at Baltimore, CJ Stroud's debut. Baltimore, of course, Lamar Jackson, fresh off his long term contract, arguably the best receiving core he's had as a member of the Ravens. Zay Flowers, Odell Beckham, did sign Jadeveon Clowney late. Of course, Roquan Smith was one of the best linebackers after joining the Ravens last season. Green Bay at Chicago. Jordan Love, really his first game where he's the true number one quarterback of the Packers. Bears, who finished with tied for the worst record in NFL last season. A lot of people are expecting a step forward. Big year for Justin Fields. Definitely has his best receiving core as well as they acquired DJ Moore. Las Vegas at Denver. A lot of people are expecting the Raiders to really struggle this year. This may be the two teams battling for last in the AFC West. Can Sean Payton turn around Russell Wilson? Philadelphia at New England. We've heard of the Super Bowl hangover. Teams that lose the Super Bowl don't always perform well the next season. Eagles still are have a ton of talent along their roster. New England finally has a true offensive coordinator in Bill O'Brien. Will Mac Jones perform a little bit better than he did last season? New England should have one of the better defenses. Miami at Los Angeles, two of the better fourth-year quarterbacks. Tua and Justin Herbert should be a fun game to watch them play. A lot of receiving talent. Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle, Keenan Allen, Mike Williams. Los Angeles. Gotta hope Nick Bosa and Khalil Mack could stay healthy. Joey Bosa, I'm sorry, because Los Angeles' defense has struggled over the past few years. They've always had a ton of talent, but just haven't put it all together. The Chargers, Rams at Seahawks. Rams, of course, had one of the worst seasons ever for a defending Super Bowl champion last season. Their defense is just not laden with experience at all. So still have their star power in Aaron Donald, Matthew Stafford, and Cooper Kupp. But Seattle is a team that some people are predicting to win the NFC West. Can Geno Smith duplicate his best season of his career last year? Dallas at New York. Giants admittedly are my team, but I'll also admit that they've struggled to beat Dallas the past few years. Can they do so? The first Sunday night football of the season. And our Monday night game, Josh Allen versus Aaron Rodgers. Jets, of course, probably the most excitement their fan base has had in quite some time. Bills, meanwhile, have been on like the precipice of being a Super Bowl contender, but haven't been able to take that final step to get there. So there you have it. That is your Week 1 NFL schedule. Now, if we go by the biggest spreads, and this is according to DraftKings Sportsbook, the Ravens are the biggest favorite. They are 10 points favorite against the Houston Texans. The second biggest favorite, probably the only time I'm going to say that this season, is the Washington Commanders, 7-point favorite over the Cardinals. So a tough week because there's only one team favored to win by more than one score, because then the Chiefs are favored by 6.5 Thursday night football against the Lions, and the Vikings are favored by 6.5 against the Buccaneers. Now, I don't always like taking the biggest favorite. If you go by my picks last season, it's not something I did often, but my first glance at the schedule this week, even before looking at the spreads, I'm like, Baltimore's got to be the team that I would take. Baltimore would definitely be the choice, in my opinion, on who I would take. Otherwise, the Vikings, I could see the Buccaneers pulling out an upset. I'm not saying they're going to. I do think the Commanders are going to win. I took the Commanders defense in FanDuel. Actually, we're relatively cheap, and, going against the Cardinals, Commanders should win that game. But a lot of tough games to call. Kind of surprised the Bears are favorite, but I wouldn't take the Packers in Survivor. But let me know in the comments, who are you taking in Week 1 of the 2023 NFL season? A tough Week 1. Probably going to be a lot of people taking the Baltimore Ravens. So, of course, as I mentioned, you take the Ravens Week 1. You won't be able to take them the rest of this season. But anyhow, NFL season's right around the corner. I'm excited. Don't forget to subscribe. Tell a friend to tell a friend to tell a friend to subscribe. Like the video, share the video, hit the bell for notifications. I'm out.